Okay, Hashem, Hashem, Na'aseh v'Natzliach. Baruchim Habayim, everyone. And there was the famous Rebbe of Alexander. He was called the second one. It was, I'd say, about 200 years ago. He wrote a sefer called Yismach Yisrael, and everyone loved him. He was very much beloved. He would spend hours with people that would come to him for advice. He would listen to them, to their problems, to their issues, give them advice, and he had a lot of help from Hashem. Things that he would tell the people. It would actually work for them, and it would really guide them. And people had a lot of trouble. They all came. One time, this person came to him, and he had a lot of trouble. Everything wasn't going well. His store, he was losing money, and he can't even cover costs. On and on, he kept complaining. From between his words, the Rebbe picked up that this person's store is open on Shabbat. And he said, "Listen, I have a great suggestion for you." He says, "What is that?" He says, "Make me a partner in your business. I won't give you any money. Make me a partner in your business, and it will bring you beracha." Thought about it. He says, "How many percentage do you want?" He says, "I want 15% of your business." He says, "Okay, we'll do." Brings out a paper. They write out the contract and everything. Everything is good. He says, "Now I promise you, you're going to have a good parnasah." He says, "Great." They signed and everything. Once it was all done, he says, "Now that I have 1/7 of your business, and any day of the week is my choosing, I choose Shabbat to be my part. Whatever you make on Shabbat is mine. You agree?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Okay, I want the store to be closed on Shabbat because it's mine. Shabbat is mine." The guy understood what's going on, and he accepted. He says, "Fine, Shabbat, the store will be closed." He says, "But what are you going to do? Your store is going to be closed." He goes, "I don't know." He says, "You will come to me. Spend Shabbat with me." And by spending Shabbat with the Alexander Rebbe, his whole life changed. Everything changed, and he became an extremely successful businessman in his business in Poland. I think it was the Rebbe of Alexandria. He was very successful. It was like very well-known Yarei Shamayim that he became. It's like you partnering up with Hashem, understanding that the Kedusha of Shabbat, the more we delve into the Kedusha, the holiness of Shabbat, the more we understand what Shabbat is all about. The more, it's not just keeping Shabbat. It's going into it, understanding it more and more, and connecting to Hashem in Shabbat. It'll bring an aura of beracha and all the good things for all of us. Be'ezrat Hashem. We are continuing on the halachot of a little bit left still as far as the before Shabbat, adding to Shabbat. We were discussing Tosefet Shabbat. There's a mitzvah to add a few minutes even from weekday to Shabbat. And how early, Shalom? How early can one accept Shabbat upon himself? We already mentioned this. Everybody has a general idea from Pelag HaMincha, which is about an hour and 15 minutes before Shabbat begins. That is the earliest time that a person could add from Chol to Shabbat. Now, we also touched on this. In LA, it doesn't really apply so much because there are so many different shuls, and the person is not bound by one shul accepting Shabbat upon themselves. But in a very small community, let's say places they have in Connecticut, in New Jersey, or in these small towns, what they call here out-of-towners, they only have one shul. The whole community has one shul. a person, as soon as the shul in their community accepted Shabbat, they follow through. That means they need to accept Shabbat at that time. That shul already accepted Shabbat, and they can't say, "Oh, I still don't want to accept Shabbat. I got things to do." No, we are dragged after that one shul. If there is one more shul, then a person could say, "No, this Shabbat I'm going with that shul." And even though he usually prays in the big shul, but there's another little minyan that there is, he could still say that, "No, I'm accepting Shabbat with them," which is later. If they're both early, then he's in trouble, right? Then it's not gonna help him. All of this aside, once Shabbat begins, they get already the sun sets. There is nothing the person could do, and it's already Shabbat. Just another addition to what we have mentioned before: if a person personally accepted Shabbat earlier, and by saying, "I am accepting Shabbat," and then suddenly realizes that he's got to do something, he or she has got to do something, which is urgent, or for a mitzvah, then it depends. If it's something which is midrabanan, let's say they forgot to turn a light off, electricity, forgot to turn the light, that they could do still, even though they accept the Shabbat. But if it's something deoraita, no. Like, turning on a light, or forgot to turn the stove on, or the crock pot on, that we better call a goy and ask the goy to do it. This is all if a person accepted Shabbat personally. But if a person went to shul, and in the shul they said, Baruch Hashem Mevorach, and he answered, Baruch Hashem Mevorach Olam Va'ed, that is an absolute acceptance of Shabbat with the tzibur, and there is nothing they could do. At that point, you've completely accepted Shabbat, and there's nothing that a person could do. Now, we also mentioned before, just to recap, if a lady accepts Shabbat, that doesn't make her children and her husband that they automatically accept the Shabbat. Vice versa, if the husband accepts the Shabbat, he's in shul, he went to the early minyan and accepted Shabbat, that doesn't make his wife and children accept Shabbat. Each person, to each his own, each person accepts Shabbat on their own. As long as they haven't accepted Shabbat, if the father comes home and he sees that his son that was with him in shul has a stain on his suit, right? He can't wash it. It's asur. On Shabbat, he can't wash it, the stain with his suit. He could tell his wife, his daughter, "Hey, listen, I just noticed that this suit has got a little stain. Could you wash it?" Because you're like, take a little water, and they could do it. Because if they haven't accepted Shabbat, they could do this.
I have two questions.
Yes.
One is, I had a guest last week in Zargari Israel. They came to eat for Friday night. They had lit the candles. They got into the car, and they came to my house. They went to the urban minyan down there with my husband. Now, I didn't know. I offered for her to see if she wanted to light the candles at my house, which she already lit. Was that allowed on her part? I thought it was best for her to light at my house because that's where she's eating.
No. You remember we said if she's sleeping where she came
that's
from?
Where she's lighting.
That's where she's lighting, and that's correct. What she did was correct.
Was correct.
Yes.
She doesn't have to. Okay, fine. That's one. Two is, if I lit the candles at 7, candle lighting was at 7:30. Is that 7:36? I don't remember exactly. I lit the candles at 7. I forgot to make tea essence. I could make it myself, or I have to have my daughter come and make the tea essence.
How do you make the tea essence?
Add hot water to the tea bags that were already in the thermos, but I forgotten to add the hot water.
Oh, wait. So you have the tea bags already in the hot water?
No, not the hot water. It was just sitting in the thermos. Let's say I forgotten to add the hot water to it.
There was nothing in the thermos.
It's just the tea bags.
So, and now you want to add, you want to pour hot water in the thermos.
Right. So my question is...
You already lit the candles.
Exactly.
And you accept the Shabbat.
I mean, normally when I light candles, I always say, when I light candles, I already accept the Shabbat.
So...
but I know Rabbi, you mentioned that our kids don't have to...
Right.
Right. So
They're fine.
So they could do it for me.
Right. The question is if you yourself could do it. Let me think about it. Let's get back to it. But the kids for sure could do it. Yeah, for sure. Now, a person comes to a shul, right? This really applies more to men because men usually, like Friday nights, go to shul, and also they're the ones that accept Shabbat by saying Baruch Hu by Arvit. Person comes to shul and he hears that the minyan, or the earlier minyan, or whatever, whichever minyan, they want to say Baruch Hu et Hashem HaMevorach. The person, as much as he likes to, has to stop himself because you didn't pray Mincha yet. And if you say Baruch Hashem HaMevorach Olam Vayed, you have accepted. This is only on a Friday night, not during the week. You've already accepted Shabbat, and you cannot say Mincha anymore because this is accepting Shabbat with the tzibur. It's not a private accepting of Shabbat, and therefore a person cannot pray Mincha on his own and needs to say Arvit twice. Okay, so that's how it works, and that's why a person has to be very careful. If a person comes to shul and they haven't been successful in having a minyan, they're missing one person, it's getting late, right by Shekiah, it's fine. They could still pray Mincha after Shekiah, and they could all say, like, personally, individual person could say, I accept Shabbat a little earlier, and that doesn't stop him from praying Mincha because he just accepted Shabbat on his own, for his own sake. Good. It's, Poskim bring down, Rabbi Musafi Shlita says, he speaks about it a lot, that, imagine a person starting Shabbat a little earlier and then sitting and learning Torah until it's Arvit time, between Mincha and Arvit. I remember in Eretz Yisrael, there were like many places that, they would pray Mincha and they would be Mekabel Shabbat, and then the Rosh Yeshiva would give a shiur. They had a long shiur, and it was great. In Beit Vegan, that was a long time ago, and they still, from what I hear, they have it. Some places they even have fathers and sons learning at that time. When they have it earlier, and it's a huge zechut. It's a time that you don't have so many people learning Torah around the world, and it's perfect. It's a big zechut. Let's get to Bein HaShemashot. We explained from the Gemara. A few places the Gemara says, what is Bein HaShemashot? The time of HaShemashot is after Shekiah, after sunset, until the stars come out, Tzet HaKochavi. That time is a question how long it is. It really depends on the latitude of where you live. Some places it's longer, some places it's shorter, but generally it's around 14 minutes, 13 and a half minutes. During that time, what is that time? Is this still Friday? Is it still previous day? Or is it already night because the sun already set? This is already, the night has begun. This is a time which we call a safek, a time which is in doubt. There's a lot of questions when it comes to this, by Brit Milah, by Shabbat obviously, by Nedarim, by Ta'aniyot, by many different things, aspects in Halakha. This pops up. Now, so during this time, if a person is very thirsty, did we say that a person could drink?
Yes.
Yes.
And you said you could also have a little bit of something.
Correct. No. Up to Shekiah, we said that a person could have. Up to sunset. Once it is sunset, only drink. Right? Only drink. Once the stars come out, no more. Right? If a person is very thirsty and the husband is still in shul, usually, normally, they're still in shul, what do? I'm very thirsty, I want to drink. Very simple. Make kiddush. Right? Make kiddush. But I didn't say arvit yet. That's fine. Not connected. You make kiddush and you drink. You can even eat something. And until they come, they take their sweet time coming from shul. A person could do that and then pray arvit later.
This is Friday night.
This is Friday night, okay. Correct. This is Friday night. As I said, there's a lot of things a lot of halachot regarding Bein HaShemashot. One thing is, being that it's a time which is in doubt, is it Friday or is it Shabbat already? So, Chachamim, they didn't make there are certain activities that are prohibited on Shabbat. Because of the safekeeping of Shabbat, they made certain fences. These fences, Chachamim, they didn't make them in the time that we're not sure it's Shabbat yet, i.e., Bein HaShemashot. During that time, therefore, some of these things, when it's for a mitzvah, is mutar. For example, The sun already has set and it's Friday. As we know, a person can't go and float on water on Shabbat. There's a gezerah of Chachamim that a person cannot float on a river, let's say, on Shabbat. But he knows that he has a lulav or he has a shofar, right, on the other side, and he needs to float to get it. Now it is right after Shekiah, before Tzeta Kochavim, before the stars come out. He wants to rush and get it. That activity is asur midrabanan. Chachamim made it asur. Chachamim never made it asur during this time. See where it goes? This halakha? Not clear? Chachamim made it asur on Shabbat to create a fence for Shabbat, that we should be careful with Shabbat. But that fence that they created is only created for Shabbat itself. During the time that it's a doubt, is it Shabbat, is it Friday? There, those prohibitions that are rabbinic, they were not applied during that time. Therefore, on Shabbat, Chachamim said, listen, from the Torah, you want to go swim, take a swim in a river. In a river. I'm not talking about swimming pool. That's something else. In a river. Is one allowed to do that on Shabbat? No. It's a gezerah of Chachamim, that a person should not do that. This gezerah was lifted if there is a shofar on the other side of the river and you need it. It's Rosh Hashanah, you need it. Like, you want to go get it, you can do it.
If it's not shofar, something.
If it's mitzvah, it has to be for something of a mitzvah. If the guy was just...
a belonging of yours.
that you're afraid he's going to get lost, that's makom tzorech. That's also allowed. If it's a tzorech, if it's a dire need, if he doesn't do it, the whole Shabbat, he's going to be depressed. The whole Shabbat is... On Shabbat, no, I'm sorry, this is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah and Shabbat, pretty much the same. Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah. Yeah. Yom Tov, Rosh Hashanah. As far as when it comes to this gezerah, on Yom Tov also you can't take a swim in a river. It's not. Cannot. But Chachamim have this gezerah on this. Where are we going? There is one halakha that might apply. The lady of the house, as much as she tried to light the candles, she wasn't able to. She was overwhelmed. Suddenly she looks at her watch. Oops, Shekiah. Shekiah is at 7:30, our favorite time, and it's already 7:33. What do? I not have the lights, candle lit for Shabbat. At that point in time, you could ask a goy. Telling a goy to do something is rabbinically asur. Amira la'akum, right? Telling a goy to do a melacha for you on Shabbat is rabbinically asur. During the time of Ben Hashemashot, you could tell a goy, Maria, come here. Don't make a baracha. Just light the candles for me, right? Just want to have my candles lit. That you could do. You could. Who? The lady of the house? There's a question. Some people say she could make a baracha, and then but the poskim say because of safek barachot lehakel, we say do not make a baracha.
So what did she miss out?
What was that?
Missed out.
She basically missed out, but it gives her a very good feeling on having the candles lit. Otherwise, yeah, she did.
This is after Shekiah?
After Shekiah, before Tzeta Kochavim. That means, let's say Shekiah is at 7:30 until 7:43. Sorry, yes?
Let's say during that time you realize you left the dryer running and you needed something from the dryer. Can you open the dryer with your lights and turn on and turn it off?
No, because the light is going to turn on. We have a problem. Definitely
You
not.
turn it off, but you can't turn it on.
Correct. Definitely not. Again, that's where the goy comes in very much in handy. Sorry.
The candle lighting is 7:30, that is Shkia?
No. I said
Oh,
exactly 7:30 is
7:30
Shekiah. 7:30 is Shekiah. What time is candle lighting? 7:20, 7:13, is that right?
Yeah.
7:12. Sorry, yes.
Asking Goya to light the candles is not a must. It's only to make me feel.
Correct. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, we have electricity. That much. Yeah, we've missed the mitzvah, basically, but okay.
What about there is no goy?
There is no goy, there is no goy. We can create one.
And wouldn't it be better just to leave it? I mean, what are you accomplishing? Like you said, we have lights, and so really you're not adding anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good feeling, especially if your husband is going to get so mad. Why? Like, Don't tell them
Well,
anything.
it could be a
Candles
cover-up,
are
you
lit.
won't know.
It's a Shalom Bayit thing.
You mentioned it I think 2 times ago. Let's say if I'm traveling, let's say from here to Bali to go to my sister, by any chance and there's in traffic, I can call my sister, ask her to light the candle for me.
Correct.
And then I go there, okay? Let's say if I'm going to the place and there is no way to light the candle for me, can I call my sister-in-law, she's in LA, and ask her to light the candle for me, and I'm not going to be present in a
No. This is only when you're going to be there and you're going to be sleeping there. That's the only allowance. Remember, we said that they're going to their parents. They're going to sleep there, right? And they asked, could you please ask the mother or the mother-in-law, please turn the candle on for me, and with the barakah, they could do it for me over there because I'm going to be there. I'm going to enjoy the light. Otherwise, if you're not going to use the light, you're not going to have anything with the light. There is no, it's asur.
Basically, if you don't use the light during Shabbat,
There's no point. I'm not going to be there. Is not really a point. Okay, all of this that we're saying about Ben Hashemashot, that's if the person accepted Shabbat, right? Accepted Tosefet Shabbat alone. But if the person accepted Shabbat with everybody else, then you cannot do Melacha, which is the Rabbanan. Nothing. Remember, this is only if you accepted Shabbat just yourself. Right? Then there is these leeways. But if a person accepted Shabbat communal, so ladies usually accept Shabbat on their own. But or unless there's only one shul in that town, then you follow them. But let's say here in LA, a lady that's lighting, any lady that's lighting in her home, she's doing it. It's a yachid. It's a one-person Kabbalat Shabbat. Then she could do this. But a guy that already went to shul and they said Baruch Hu, that is a full acceptance. There is nothing they could do. They cannot do any Melacha D'Rabbanan during Ben Hashemashot. Let's make that very clear. This is only the case by, as we said, a lady here in LA. There's many shuls, so they don't follow anyone. They're on their own. They're accepting Shabbat on their own. They could do that during the time of Ben Hashemashot, after Shekiah, until the stars come out. Those 13 and a half minutes. Is that clear? Let's make sure that's very clear. Okay, yes.
But if my husband went to early minyan and said the Baruch Hu, and he's even early, he's in the half an hour, he still can't do the
He can't. If he said Baruch Hu already, he accepted Shabbat. Baruch Hashem, he's done. Okay. There is another gezerah of Chachamim that they say that a person cannot read with the light of a candle. That's what it says. Ein likrot leor haner. This is a Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat. And the person cannot, unless someone is watching you. There's someone that's watching you. What's the problem? The problem is, in the olden times, the candles, first of all, it was all wick and oil, right? And as you continue using it, what happens is the wick starts burning. So there's that portion of the wick that has the ashes that's burnt. That will cause the light to dim. Number one. Sometimes you're reading, you want to really see some fine print, and the light is not enough. What's the good way of making the light stronger? You take it and you tilt it. Then more oil will reach the wick, and it will make the flame bigger. Have you ever tried it? No?
Yeah.
Because we don't need to. You have tried it?
Yeah,
In Iran, okay. But that's only with oil. Let's say you have charag nafti. Let's say you have a lantern. Lantern just doesn't need, because the lantern has good light. It has a thick wick, and what you do is you raise it, but it does have that burnt thing on there, but that doesn't really affect it as much. Now, the gezerah of Chachamim is that a person cannot read with this, because tilting it or doing anything to this flame will be havara, will be igniting fire. And that you can't do on Shabbat, right? So as a fence, not to be over, not to transgress a melacha of Shabbat, Chachamim came and they built this fence. They said, listen, my friend, do not read with a light of a candle on Shabbat. We could use it, we could have pleasure from it, we could eat by it, we could do everything. But reading or things that need a lot of concentration, don't do unless someone is watching you. If someone is watching you, then he's going to make sure you're not going to do it. Right? A person wants to read, but it's something that he's used to reading. It's like simple, just Zemirot Shabbat. A person reads, sings Derur Ikra Leveni Bat every Shabbat. They know it. You know, he just needs to look at it a little bit, and that's fine. That's fine. Things like that. Wants to make Kiddush. What? You make Kiddush every single Friday night. Of course you know it. You know, these sort of things, that's fine. But other types of reading that a person, like, you know, really, like, you know, you pick up a Gemara and, like, you know, you want to read it, that a person should not use the Shabbat candle. Now, when we say Shabbat candle, we're talking about the oil that we, if you light Shabbat candles with oil. But if you're not using the oil, you're using regular paraffin candles or wax candles, those things, they don't need. They light perfectly. And to be honest, most of the oil lamps these days also, they light perfectly. They don't cause any of this trouble. But already Chachamim made a gezerah not to do it. And Baruch Hashem, we have lights that are very easy to use. Let's say a person gets up in the middle of the night and all the lights, the timer turned all the lights off, and all he has is a Shabbat candle. And he wants to get dressed to go to early to Hanetz, and he doesn't know which pants is this. And he goes to the Shabbat candles to look, that's Asur. That's Asur, because, now you're going to tilt it to see maybe, you know, to see better. That a person should not do. We can't trust ourselves. That's the problem. In the Gemara it says, one of the Chachamim says, no, I trust myself, you know, I'm not going to do it. And he almost did it. And he says, how true were the words of the Chachamim, and therefore, like, you know, it's not a good thing. Electricity, even if you have like a nice chandelier, and there are some of them, you know, sometimes some people, they loosen some of the lamps, because you don't need so much light. So we're not afraid, on Shabbat, he's going to realize that I need more light, and he's going to go ahead and tighten some of the lamps so there will be more light. One option. Or the other option is you have dimmers. Like, you know, on all the lights they have dimmers. Are we allowed to use these type of illuminators on Shabbat?
You mean to, let's say...
No, to just have them.
Use it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Let's say you have a dimmer on your chandelier. Right? And you should be afraid that if I need more light, I'm going to make it higher on Shabbat. That would be the issue.
You're afraid.
You should, yeah. If the Chachamim are afraid of that, we should be afraid of that too. Some poskim actually say, don't use dimmers, the light with dimmers on Shabbat, unless you're able to disable it from before Shabbat. Others say that it's fine, or Obadiah says that a person could use it on Shabbat, but don't make new gezerot. When the Chachamim made the gezerah, they made the gezerah on a lamp. They never made a gezerah on electricity. And therefore, a person can use a light that has a dimmer. Obviously, don't dim it or don't make it higher. But there is, once this Talmud was sealed, we don't make new gezerot anymore. And such a thing, unless a person knows. He's like used to playing with the dimmer, all the time. Then you should put a sticker on it, tape it up, and the person should not play with it.
But we never had any issue on the stairs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So we're fine. That's what I'm saying.
How about lights that we turn on Shabbos light? Is that standing light?
That's fine.
And you just turn it.
That's Shabbos light. That's perfect. Those things are like...
You're still making your light rather.
Yeah, but you're not making any changes to the light at all. That light is lit. All you're doing is turning it and just covering it.
I want to know, how come you're allowed to turn it?
You're not doing anything.
You're not actually turning the light, you're just turning this.
Yeah, you're basically covering it. You're literally not doing anything. It's genius idea. Genius. Okay, so much for lighting. Let's move on. There's a beautiful segment here about preparing the shuls for Shabbat. The Gabbai of the Bet Knesset, we're just going to learn it because it's preparation for Shabbat. The Gabbai of the Bet Knesset should make sure that the shul is sparkling clean for Shabbat, and to put special tablecloths on the tables to beautify it, to add to the kavod of Shabbat as much as we can. A person walks into a shul and sees, wow, this is like a kavod of Shabbat. It's a big zachut.
You just mentioned about tablecloths. Does that apply to the house? You should
For
have tablecloths
sure.
on your tables.
Didn't we mention it?
I don't know.
No, can't be.
Yeah, you didn't mention that.
If we didn't mention it, we will mention it. The person has to find the best tablecloth to use for the table on Shabbat, for sure. Even if during the week you have nice tablecloths, find nicer ones. For sure, for
At
sure.
all times, even if you're not eating, then
Yes,
the table has to
yes,
be covered.
yeah, that's a kavod. And Kabbalistically, definitely it's a big kavod, an important thing to have a tablecloth on the table.
And the color is not the color.
Better white, it says, but some say no, white just means clean, but it says Lavan, Levanim. There's a famous story amongst the Libyan Jews about Khalifa Nahum. Khalifa Nahum, he was the president of the main synagogue in Libya, in the main city in Libya. There was a lot of Jewish people, 80,000 Jews lived in Libya at some point in time. Now there's none, zero. But great chachamim there. And this person was the president of the main shul, and he was a very, very wealthy member of the community. Everybody looked up to him. His wife, she would prepare all the things that she needs to on Thursday and Friday morning. After she was done in the morning, she would go from shul to shul. She would clean the floors in every shul. In every shul. She would prepare the candelabras and put oil and change the wicks, prepare everything for them to be ready for Shabbat. This is what she did. Every single week, no matter what. One time, in the beginning of the week, she got a rusty nail into her foot. And she was in bed. She couldn't move. And every day it was just getting worse and worse. It was infected. Friday comes, she says, I'm not going to stay home. I have my mitzvah. I'm going to do it. And she goes. She goes from shul to shul with a lot of excruciating pain. And she would bite her lips so she wouldn't even sigh, and she would continue going from one Beit Knesset to another Beit Knesset. The only thing that she couldn't stop was the tears from the pain. But, she went. She kept going. As she's scrubbing the floors in one of the shuls, she looks up, there is a person, elderly person, white, in front of her. And he says, my daughter, what is wrong? And she says, I have this thing, I have this nail in my foot that's infected. And he says, shouldn't you be resting? What are you doing out? She says, I have a mitzvah. I'm not going to let go of this mitzvah, no matter what. And he says, in that case, then you should have a refuah shalema right now. As soon as he said it, she was perfectly fine. All the pain was gone, and all the swelling went down. She says, are you Malach Raphael? She said, no, I'm Eliyahu Hanavi. And I was sent because you're so adamant about this mitzvah of yours, and I will give you a barakah that you will have a son that will illuminate the world. Her son that was born after was the famous Rav Nissim Nachum. Rav Nissim Nachum was the leader of the Libyan community for years, and they were also extremely wealthy. He supported Talmidei Chachamim, and he was one of the biggest Chachamim of the generation in Libya. This is her mother, his mother, Rivka. His mother's name was Rivka. Now, it's another interesting halakha about Beit Knesset, that a person, that the Gabaim should make sure that the lights in the Beit Knesset are on before people come. Number one, it's a kavod of the Shekhinah. Shekhinah comes, the place is dark. Number two, it's a kavod for the tzibur, for the people. It is not respectful for the people to come in and the place is locked, or the doors, or the lights are off. So it's a kavod for the tzibur. If they can't do it, they should have a timer that would turn the lights on and everything. Another side halakha about shuls, that's about bringing little kids to Beit Knesset. Rav Wolbe has a long piece on this in his sefer Binyan Uzriya Bechinuch, building and planting in chinuch. I don't know if everyone has seen this sefer. It's a very thin sefer. They have it translated to English by Rabbi Kellerman, Shlita, and we had a 11-part shiur in this also previously. And he has a big piece about bringing children to shul. If they don't know how to pray, number one, they're bothering the other people that are praying. and it's extremely chamor. And number two, it's bad chinuch for the child. The child thinks that the shul is a playground, and it doesn't give him that awe and respect for a shul when he's like running around. They think like, and poor child, it's not his fault at all. Zero, he's a child. And all the avon goes to the parents, and they don't know either, but they have to know that number one, they would be disturbing the other people. Number two, for the child himself, it's a horrible chinuch, thinking that the shul is, they don't have the kedusha for the shul. I remember I heard from Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef that he said one time he brought his young boy to shul, and the boy was like making noise. After shul, as they were coming back from shul, he said, Rabbi told him, if he doesn't know how to pray, don't bring him. He says, but what do I do? He says, stay with him.
Stay with him.
Stay with him.
Don't come to
Yeah. That's what he told Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef was staying in shiur. He said, stay with him. Of course, you're right. What can you do with him? Stay with him. Pray, with him and enjoy and make it, that's what it was.
Is it because not disturbing other people, or is it because the chinuch? Which one is
For
more
both.
important?
He didn't say.
Davening in tzibur is very important.
Right. But here, chinuch is going to be forever. That chinuch is going to be forever. Rav Wolbe says we need to teach our children that the moment you step through that threshold, you are in a Bet HaMikdash. That's what we need to teach. You have to learn that your behavior outside the door of the shul is very, very different than inside. This is like, you have entered Makom Kadosh, and, the way you sit, the way you behave is different. Poor kid, you cannot do that to the child. It's asur to do that to the child. He says, in the Sefer, he writes, you want to start, bring him for a shorter tefillah, let's say for mincha. You bring him for mincha, okay, beautiful, very good. He could sit there, but bring him for shacharit, poor thing. Shacharit, Kiryat Torah, Musaf, it loses everything. He has a long, beautiful piece on this, Rav Wolbe.
Is there any age limit on that?
It depends. When he knows how to read already, then it's fair enough to bring him, to make a big deal. Wow, you sat there, you give him prize, something good that he enjoys. Not so much candy, other things that he would actually enjoy, to encourage him, that he sat very nicely next to his father. That's beautiful. That's chinuch. That's chinuch. But we need to teach them. There's a halachot of kedusha and mora, the sanctity and the fear and the awe that we have to have of the Beit Knesset. Now, this is a custom that's in Israel, many places, after the tefillah, if there is a Talmid Chacham, if there is a Rav of the shul, it is great to go and kiss his hands after the tefillah. Even though it's shul, you're not allowed to kiss anyone in a shul, right? But if it's for kavod HaTorah, one is allowed to do it. A person goes and kisses his parent's hand or his Rebbe's hand in shul. That's not what the isur is. The isur is you're not allowed to show love to someone else in the shul when we have the love of Hashem. But the Zohar HaKadosh brings down that the Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, would go and kiss his father's hand. Actually, it says over there that all the Chachamim would go kiss Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's hand over there because it was a very, very big deal. It brings a story from the Ri Migash. Ri Migash is Rabbi Yosef HaLevi Migash. Rambam met him when he was 7 years old. He was one of the greatest Chachamim. The Ri Migash, he was known.
7 years.
7. Rambam was 7 years old when they escaped Spain. They went down to Morocco. That's where the Ri Migash was. And he saw him. It says, it's an incredible thing. Rambam went and kissed his hand and he gave him a beracha. Rambam says himself, Rav Chida brings it, that the Rambam said that all the wisdom that I had was from that moment that I saw the Ri Migash. And I kissed his hand. It says everything.
On Shabbat.
No, I think they just went in to see him. He says just went to see him, and at that moment, who knows what kavanot the Ri Migash had, and he gave the Rambam. Everyone knows, what he was.
We have a custom in Persian that when we see each other, we greet each other, we have to kiss each other. So how do we do that on Shabbat? That usually we see each other and we want to greet them on your heart, but at the same time we know that you're not doing the right thing. How do you put that back?
think it would be nice to educate, to tell them, listen, I would love to kiss you here in the, but
True. Hug is not as bad. What is
hugging is no. The Isur is about the Isur about kissing. It says
So this applies to Sparta? I thought it was just an Ashkenaz.
that they don't kiss in shul. Yeah, of course.
So hugging is okay to hug someone.
To hugging, I haven't seen that it says chibuk. Nishuk, it says kissing. Yes.
Just because a lot of times could be very disrespectful or maybe not.
Well, when we explain to them, when we say, listen, with all due respect, I would love to, like, but I just learned, I just saw in the Sefer that it's asur to do. It's written all over. Halachot of Beit Knesset, asur lenashek. It's asur to kiss in a shul. For kavoto, it's allowed. Yes.
But we
I
don't
heard
kiss.
that only when the Torah is out, you're not supposed to kiss.
No. It's right.
They kiss the moment they kiss each other. They don't kiss the way our children will kiss the hand. You just, it's just
It's
like
It's very formal.
Are you saying that that's just in the air? They kiss in the air.
it's
Okay,
not
they kiss in the air.
connection.
They're not kissing each other. That's fine. They kiss in the air. But we mentioned like hugging. Okay. But you've seen like people do actually kiss each other on the cheek. That's not proper. That's not proper.
The
Yeah.
simcha hall that have the Sefer Torah in them.
Simcha halls, they are made al tanai. They make a precondition that they're having samachot there. So therefore, it is definitely easier. The halacha is definitely easier. Then at the time of tefillah, though, a person should refrain. But other times, it's fine.
What about kissing baby?
Also,
You cannot.
yeah, also, for sure.
You can't kiss.
We're showing love, right? We're showing love to someone, and to the child or to anyone else. That's also if it's a show of kavod, like to a father, parents, a rebbe, that is fine. That's fine. Like people they want to say Shabbat Shalom, and what do? They do the Islamic kiss. They do the 3 times thing. Like they could do it outside. They should take it outside. They should get used to doing it outside. A lot of Moroccans were big into this, and so many rabbanim of Morocco they wrote about this, that a person they should be mevatel this minhag, and not they should not do this minhag of kissing, in shul. They all talk about it. Moroccans, Syrians also do it, and the rabbanim talk about it.
Can you guys announce it more? I don't think we would know. I really didn't know.
You know what I think? I think they're afraid that they won't listen.
They would listen. Persian women are very...
I hope so.
No, if they know something is black and white,
Okay.
because they're scared they're going to offend somebody if they don't.
Yeah, it's true. It should be talked about. I have heard Rabbanim talk about it. But yeah,
Can you go out? Can you go
out. Yeah, for sure. Take it outside.
Do this,
And especially if they come
Kissing in
forward
the air.
to you, so it's very uncomfortable not to greet
I
them.
know, hey, go
I
like
just
that.
learned that you can't do, what I mean? So
I mean, sometimes it's easy. You have to be diplomatic about it. Sometimes you shake hands, and showing a certain friendship, and then say I would kiss you, but let's do it outside in the hallway. Ezrat Nashim though, they might be a little less stringent as the rest of the shul. There might be that I would have to look into that. Ezrat Nashim, there might be a little more leniency. But okay, we'll check into
Sorry,
it.
Rabbi, does that apply to any time you're inside the show? Meaning not just on Shabbos, during the week,
Yeah.
enter for whatever reason.
Halacha shul.
So anytime that's a halacha, you're in the show, you cannot kiss him.
Yeah, for sure.
sorry, with all respect, can I say something?
Please.
I think when we come to the shul as a community, especially in these 9 days that we are trying to not be machloket between us, not sinat chinam, I know a lot of people, they don't come to shul because they get hurt in a different way. They feel they judge head to toes. Even though we are trying to be so gentle, people take other people's action very, very personally. I don't know how we could, correct this action or correct this habit in terms to not hurt anybody. As much as we are trying to keep the halacha concerned about other people feeling. I don't know, I think the Mahlokat, you're going to bring it up.
No. So, forgive me. A little education never hurt anyone. If we push the other person off and we say, hey, like like that, then definitely that's asur, that's onat devarim, that's halbanat panim, that's a big problem. But if we get close to the person and we show that we love that person, that we show that we care about that person, it's just that, you know what, there is this little thing in halakha that we have to know. It's this, come outside, I'll hug you and kiss you and whatever, But in the shul, out of the respect for shul, it's educational. It's really educational. One time you tell them in a very nice way, they will understand it. It's not like, chas v'shalom, we want to promote hatred. This is, no, far from it. So we're trying to promote the halakha and the kavod of the shul. It's like this. If we don't respect our shuls, then who will? Right? And we know so many things that because we didn't respect shuls, because communities didn't respect the shuls burnt down. I'm sure you know about a lot of stories. When we bring kedusha, when we bring respect and kedusha to the shuls, then the Shekhinah of Hashem is there. But if we don't care, if we don't, okay, this halakha let's put aside, this halakha let's put aside, and if we don't do it, then who should? Who should bring the Shekhinah?
You're right. Shekhinah, definitely we are trying, that's why we are here today.
Yeah.
There is right now, there is a very, very popular shul we have in Kiko, which is called Young Sephardi. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nes. It's every week you go, is more people and more people and more people gather over there. There is not a lot of, strict things, but there is no politics over there. The rabbi loves everybody, and everybody loves to go there. It's unbelievable.
Great, Baruch Hashem. That's where the Shekhinah goes.
Yeah.
Where the unity is. But again,